All right, welcome to another episode of Medicine Mondays. I am yours truly, Dr. Pierre, your favorite board certified internist, host of Medicine Mondays, The Real Physician Reacts, The Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry, a slew of things. And as we end the month of February, I figure, let's give a kind of quick recap of what's going on in the month, give you what to expect for the rest of the month. I'm excited. I think the year 2024, I think is going to be an absolutely beautiful thing. You are going to see a lot more let's just say content, right? And that's going to really be the theme of today's discussion, right? We're going to see a lot more content coming from yours truly. We took kind of I don't want to say vacation, right? But we definitely relaxed on the amount of content that we had to provide here on Pierre Medical Consulting and Medicine Mondays and everything under that umbrella. But it was because we were in the background of some other things and companies and letting them do their thing, and we're going to see a lot of that fruition come out towards the end of the year. So now that like the hard work in the back end is done, you're going to see me a lot more often, right? So let's give a quick summary again. This month, we had a guest, Maria Davis Pierre. You know her. She is a veteran. In fact, she is, if you're my Lunch and Learn podcast listener, she is the voice you hear every time on the introduction, right? And we had a couple great solo episodes, some great episodes on The Real Physician Reacts. Again, and that's something where if you are not tapped in Thursday evenings, if you're free Thursday evenings, I definitely suggest you tap in, check us out. Right now, we do this live on TikTok. But like I said, in 2024, you're going to see us do a lot more. So expect to see us come out live on several other platforms at that same time frame. TikTok, obviously, we love TikTok, right? Because they've been the most active. But again, we're going to be on, I don't want to spoil the surprise. So my theme for today, right? Like what are we talking about today? I think today, and this is kind of going off some stories and some things that have kind of come across my social media feed over this past few weeks, is the fact that, hey, like you have a profession, right? Again, let's be real. I am a physician, right? Because I don't want people running with it like, oh my God, Dr. Barry's a fake. No, not the case. Let's say I'm a profession, whatever the profession you may be. And you know that profession, of what that profession typically does. And then you hear that profession does something else that doesn't sound, ordinary. And the reason why I say that is because, like, again, I've been on social media probably since I've been in medical school, right? So again, for those who don't know, I went to medical school from 2007, 2011. So I've been on social media since about 2008, 2009-ish. So it's going on like 15 years of first blogging, then videos, and now podcasting and YouTubing. So it's a lot of social media. But one thing I've always been able to do very well is to kind of separate the two, in the sense that, hey, what I need to do when it comes to my schoolwork, when it comes to doing my rotations, when it comes to doing residency, and even this attending life as a physician, boom, that's what I do over there. And the social media stuff, yes, I do it well, but I made a good job of keeping it separately. And the reason why I know I've done a good job is that still to this day, there are colleagues of mine who are like shocked when they like come across, social media feeds and they see a video of mine. And they're like, hold on, is that Dr. Pierre? I'm like, and then they see me the next day or so, like, Dr. Pierre, do you have a YouTube channel, Dr. Pierre? Do you have a podcast? I'm like, well, actually I do, right? Because one thing I made it a point, and I think I have to give the credit to Nova Southeastern University, because one thing they made sure to let me know when I was a medical student, say, hey, Barry, student Dr. Barry, you can get on social media. I'm okay with you being on social media, but don't include us. Don't include us. Don't include us. Do not make, don't embarrass us, more importantly, and don't say things that could get you in trouble. In pursuit of not wanting to get in trouble, in pursuit of not wanting to get kicked out of school and, ruin my whole life because I couldn't be a doctor anymore, I just did such a great job at separating like my social media life and my quote unquote work life that I sometimes forget that like I can do both, and more importantly, I can talk with others that I do both. It's not it's usually not the first thing that comes up. But I think the reason why is because they're just not used to seeing someone, in my position, right, get online, doing online things. Now, it's not as if I'm on social media and I do my medicine health thing here, but on social media, I'm like, weaving baskets or anything. Like I'm doing this same thing, especially from a medical education standpoint. But I've just gotten so used at keeping it separate that like sometimes I have to be reminded that, oh, you know what, it's actually okay, right, to let, the work and colleagues know, especially, in fact, true story. And I tell people all the time, I think I am more known outside of, let's say my city, my county per se, than I am in other parts of the country. Like there are other parts of the country, because I check my numbers and stuff like that, where like a lot of people know of Dr. Barry Pierre, but like if you ask, just like in let's say Palm Beach County, I may not be one of the most recognized physicians out here, right? Because like again, I go, I do my work, and I keep it moving. Now that being said, right, and I always ask this of patients, like, is that a problem? Because what I've seen over these past few weeks is that there's been, people in other professions, lawyers, doctors, engineers, like, teachers. There's been people in other professions, and yes, that's their profession. That's what they do. That's their 9 to 5. But online, they're a totally different person. And what seems to happen is when those worlds, kind of come together, there sometimes is clashing. Now, I'm very fortunate. My bosses, right? My bosses, they pretty much said the same thing. As long as you're getting your work done, hey, cool, congratulations. Do what you got to do over there. But I'm seeing a lot of people who are, and I think this hinders us in a sense, especially, and when I say us, I mean us professionals who want to do our professional duty, our 9 to 5s, but really enjoy doing stuff like this, getting online, getting on, TikTok and YouTube and podcasting and whatever the thing is. They like doing these other things here, but they really like their career too, right? The career pays the bills. Again, my career pays the bills. So I don't want to necessarily mess up the career for something that I like doing, but I also don't want to be handicapped by my career and not allow me to do the stuff I like doing. And I know I'm an outlier in multiple senses of the world. And I understand that your typical physician isn't getting online, doing education, especially just because, right? And that's one thing that, over these, 15 plus years, when people ask me, hey, Dr. Barry Pierre, why do you like doing this? Like, why are you doing this? Like, it's a question. I'm like, well, because I actually like doing it. Like, I actually enjoy getting online here, talking to you guys, educating you guys, making it so that this complex system of medicine and healthcare and patient-doctor relationship, making sure that you understand that, like, yes, this can be simplified so you don't have to be like a deer in headlights when you go to see your doctor. Because at the end of the day, I'm not your doctor, right? Just peep the disclaimer. I'm not your doctor, but I want to make sure that when you go to see your doctor, you are as comfortable as possible. Remember the motto, empower yourself for better health. If I make it to the point that you are comfortable when you go to see your doctor, guess what? There's not going to be no pride in the way. There's not going to be no delay of care in the way. And in tune, I'm going to save a life, right? I don't keep track of it, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who took what I said and applied it, right, in their health, right, or in more importantly, their family's health, and it probably saved their life, right? And I'm ecstatic for that, right? Again, I don't need to have a fixed number of how many people it is. I just know the fact that because I, press record and upload it, that someone's going to listen to it. Someone's going to listen to it on the way to work, at home, right? At work, right? Trying to get some time off, right? They're gonna send it to a friend of theirs and say, hey, did you hear what Dr. Barry said about COVID? Did you hear what Dr. Barry said about, colon cancer? Did you hear what Dr. Barry said about prostate cancer? They're gonna hear that, give it to who needs to hear it, right? Because the message always finds who it needs to be delivered to. And that's something that I've learned. The message always finds who it needs to be delivered to. I just have to give the message. So I get concerned when I see more and more professions trying to block out, right, this aspect of you know what, I don't think you should do this and that. Like, stick to one or the other. Because I think it's a hindrance. I think one, right, like I said, I love medicine, right? I love what I do. But like, it would be very difficult for me right now if today, in the year 2024, one of my bosses says, hey, you know what? We got this new social media policy and we want none of our employees online. Right? Like, that would be a very difficult discussion for me to have. Right? Because I would really, I feel like, again, if I am tied to, right, if I'm tied to, and this is more the entrepreneur in me coming in, if I'm tied to a job that doesn't even allow me to brand myself in any other way, shape, or form, then anytime this job has, budget issues or any concern, I can go, right? And then here I am left out in the streets. And the reason why, again, that would be a very difficult discussion for me, and I've told this story before. One of the reasons why I made the career decisions that I made was through social media. Was the fact that I was doing live stream videos. Was the fact that someone had recognized that, hey, you know what? Look at Dr. Barry. Like, and that started the ball rolling to the point where, like, the first job I had out of school, I left, right? Because they were there, but they weren't really moving. They really had no career ascension for me. And because I had been doing these live videos, right? Shout out to Facebook at the time. Because I had been doing the live videos at Facebook, a colleague of mine recognized me, said, hey, you know what? I think Barry would be good for this job here. Recommended me, and I got the job, and I ended up leaving, right? And it was very, very financial beneficially for me, right? So when I think about that, and I recognize that the only reason why that colleague could even refer me to that new job was because they saw me online doing these things here. How could I then just turn my back and say, you know what, guys, it was fun while it lasted, but everyone who listens to Medicine Mondays, everyone who listens to the Lunch Lane with Dr. Barry, everyone who listens to the Real Physician Reacts and all these other things that I do, all those other people here, I'm sorry, like, I gotta go. Like, to those family members who don't have the ability to have someone like myself be able to educate them, break down these complex medical problems as well as I do, like, you're on your own, right? That would be a very difficult conversation for me. And honestly, you can kind of get where I'd be leaning to, and to be a strong lean, even like a foot out the door kind of lean, if you know what I mean, right? If that ever came to play. So I do want to say this as we end the month of February, right? We're getting ready for the month of March, right? Again, that first 3 months of the year, things are still going, right? And if, let's say you're sitting on the sideline, let's say you're one of my professionals sitting on the sideline, and you want to make the leap, but you're still concerned and you don't know why, like, I want you to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? If not for anything else, make that leap, because someone out there is waiting for the message you're trying to deliver. And they can't get the message you're trying to deliver if you won't press record, right? They won't get the message you're trying to deliver if you won't hop on that podcast. They will not get the message you're trying to deliver if you keep it all to yourself. You cannot be your best kept secret. So I implore this to my professionals, like, stop trying to be your best kept secret and go out and do as what you need to do. Now, that being said, I gotta talk to those who would be receiving them, right? Right now, obviously, my patients and my patients' families, and even people who aren't my patients, but patients from afar, right? Medically legally speaking, right? I don't want you to also look at the professions in a different light because they decide, you know what, I want to do something different. I want to go a different route on what I'm doing, right? I want us to be accepting, right? Because imagine, again, if you're watching this, you're listening to me, you are accepting of the fact that a physician can be a great physician and still get on social media and do this medical education stuff and everything else under the sun, right? You're already accepting of the fact, right? So I already know I'm kind of talking to an audience that, like, hey, Dr. Barry, you don't even have to convince me. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. You're good. And I think as more and more, and the reason why I say this, because I look, and I'll just keep it in medicine, I'm looking at more and more medical students who are on social media, I look at more and more medical residents who are on social media. Right? It's one of these things where you're not going to be able to break us apart. So if you're one of those people who feel that like, no, the doctor can only do this, and the teacher can only do this, and the engineer can only do this, and the lawyer can only do this, the financial planner can only do this. If you're one of those people who are still kind of looking at that in that box, you are going to be in trouble, right? Because less and less of those people who only do that is going to be around, right? You are going to get to the point where it's the norm for your doctor to have social media page. It's the norm for them to have a YouTube page or for them to be an author and write books. It's going to be the norm for these things. And we have to, again, in the year 2024, we have to get excited with new norms, right? Just like you guys are going to be excited with all the new normal stuff we're going to do for the rest of the year. I want you guys to be excited for the new norm that's coming. Right, like your teacher, your kids' teachers may do something different. Right, your lawyer may do something different. Your banker may do something different. Your financial planner, like whoever that thing is, right, they may do something different, and you guys got to be okay with it. You got to be, like I said, I know I'm preaching to the choir. If you are a lunch and learn listener from the get go, right? If you are a member back in the day when it was just Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Facebook Live, shout out to you. If you are a Medicine Mondays, hero, and you've been with us on YouTube since we did the YouTube thing, and you're a subscriber, like I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I want to make sure that the cry that I'm preaching to, like, hey, talk to your friends too. It's not crazy anymore for the doctors to want to do something different, right? It's not. And again, I just happen to also be doing my side thing in healthcare and medicine. Right, I just happen to do that. Like I got another hat as well too, right? Like I like doing marketing and stuff like that, and playing with computers and stuff. But that's a whole nother thing, right? We'll discuss that. We'll probably discuss that later in the year. But that's a whole nother thing. So yes, I like to stick. My outside thing also includes healthcare and education, but you shouldn't be weirded out if, let's say, my outside thing included me, landscaping or growing flowers or something. I don't know. Right? I just don't want no one to be weirded out. And I just figured it was just in the top of my mind just as I was seeing more and more news stories of, oh, this person does this, but they also do that. And should they be doing that? Like whenever I hear the should they be, I'm like, oh, I start getting worried because I start thinking about myself. Like, man, if my job start telling me stuff like that, it's going to be concerning as well. Right. And then the fact that I was just having more and more of my colleagues discover, right? Like kind of discover, like, oh my God, you got a YouTube page. Oh my God, you got a Facebook page. You got kind of discover it. I got to make it. So I said, you know what? I need to take that on myself, right? Because I'm not doing a good enough job letting folks know, hey, I do this as well. I do this. You should follow me, right? Like, so that's the name of the game here, right? So again, you guys be blessed. Great, first 2 months of the year. We got a long ways to go to the year 2025. We all want to be here by the end of the year. We want to be our healthiest. We want to be mentally clear, right? Spiritually fit. Whatever the thing you were looking for, we want to get you there, right? So this is just a start, right? Hope you guys had a great month, and I'm gonna see you guys next week.